He'd survived the bloodiest assault of the war, fought through hell itself on a world without a name. When he finally woke up, she was waiting beside him, kneeling, silent, and beautiful. And she called him Master. Asterisk. The medbay lights flickered overhead, cold and sterile. Sergeant Dax Marin blinked once, then again. His throat was dry. His body ached. Muscles screamed with every breath. But he was alive. He tried to sit up, then froze. Someone was kneeling at the edge of his recovery pod. Not a nurse. Not a medic. Not human. Slender, tall, with silver-blue skin that shimmered like water under moonlight. She had 4 delicate fingers on each hand, clasped politely on her lap. Her long white hair was braided with thin metal rings, worn by the noble-born of the Therial species. His enemy. Her eyes met his. Bright violet. Calm. Patient. "You're awake," she said softly, bowing her head. "I am yours now." Dax stared. What the hell is this?" She tilted her head, almost confused by the question. "I was given to you, Sergeant, as reward for surviving the Ashfall offensive." Ashfall. The name hit like a sledgehammer. It wasn't just any battle. Ashfall had been suicide, an operation deep behind enemy lines. Dax was one of 7 survivors out of 300. They'd called in orbital strikes while still inside the kill zone. He shouldn't be alive. And now, he looked at the woman again. Her posture was perfect, submissive, not afraid, but not entirely at ease either. Like someone following a protocol. "This some kind of sick joke?" he muttered, swinging his legs off the pod. She rose gracefully. "Not a joke." The Therial High Council surrendered shortly after the assault. As part of the peace accord, they offered compensation to certain human units. "You were selected. I was chosen." "You were chosen?" "Like a gift." "Yes," she said without flinching. Dax let out a low, bitter laugh. Jesus. He looked around. The med bay was empty. No one watching. No one to explain this insanity. "I don't want a damn slave. I am not permitted to return," she said simply. "If you do not claim me, I will be recycled." He turned sharply. "Recycled? What does that mean?" Her gaze dropped. "Removed from records. From life." Dax felt his gut twist. "You're telling me your own people will kill you if I say no?" She didn't answer, but her silence said enough. Dax ran a hand down his face. War had stripped him of so much: friends, sleep, his own conscience some days. But this wasn't right. He hadn't fought to enslave. Still, one look at her told him she wasn't lying. She was calm, but she wasn't bluffing. He softened his voice. "What's your name?" "I am not permitted a name until claimed." "Bullshit," he said, shaking his head. "I'm not calling you property." She looked up at him slowly. "Then call me what you wish, Sergeant Marin." He hesitated, then sighed. "Sky," he said. "You look like a storm waiting to break." A flicker of something passed through her expression. Was it surprise? "Sky," she repeated. "That is acceptable." Just then, the medbay door hissed open. A human officer stepped in, Lieutenant Carver. Older, sharp-featured, with a datapad in hand. "Sergeant," Carver said, barely glancing at Sky. "Glad to see you up. You're a goddamn legend now, you know that? Fleet's already circulated your footage to boost morale." Dax grunted. "Why is there an alien woman in my room?" "Gift from the Therial," Carver said, not missing a beat. "Symbol of peace. You were selected by the brass. She's yours. I didn't ask for her. You didn't have to. Orders came straight from high command. Political theater, you know how it is. Makes them feel civilized. She said they'll kill her if I refuse." Carver paused, then shrugged. "Probably. Therial don't do half measures." Dax clenched his jaw. "This is wrong." "Maybe. But war's over. You did your part. Relax for once. Let the politicians handle the mess." Carver turned and strode out. The door closed behind him. Sky remained quiet. Dax looked at her again, really looked this time. She wasn't just beautiful. She was watching everything. Not just with grace, but intelligence. Awareness. Resignation, too. She didn't want to be here. Neither did he. "All right, Sky," he muttered. "You're not a slave. Not to me." She blinked. "Then what am I?" Dax walked to the window. Outside, Earth hung like a pale blue marble, distant but shining. He hadn't seen home in years. He looked back at her. It guessed. For now. And for the first time, she smiled, just a little. But deep inside, Dax knew something was off. This wasn't just politics. Something bigger was happening. And Sky? She wasn't just a reward. She was a warning. The silence between them had weight. Sky sat by the window now, her posture perfect, hands folded. Dax had moved to the corner of the med bay, still too sore to pace, but too restless to sit. The quiet hum of machines and distant footsteps outside were the only sounds that kept it from feeling like a vacuum. "Do you ever blink?" Dax asked, not looking at her. "I conserve energy by limiting unnecessary motion," she replied softly. He huffed. "Creepy. You're not the first human to say that. But I'm the first one to give you a name." That made her pause. A flicker of emotion crossed her face again, there and gone. He leaned forward slightly. "What happens if I ask you about your people?" "I will answer. And if I ask about you?" She hesitated. "Some answers are restricted. But I will try." Dax scratched his stubble, the weight of 1,000 questions itching at him. He didn't know where to start. So he chose the simplest one. "Why you?" Sky turned to him. "I am not the most beautiful, nor the most skilled, but I am the most trained." He frowned. Trained for what? To adapt. To observe. To bond. Dax's stomach tightened. Bond? With humans? Yes. You mean seduce. If necessary. He stood slowly, limping a little as he crossed to the wall console. The medbay lights adjusted as he moved, tracking him like a predator watching its prey. He stared at his reflection in the polished metal, bruised, stitched, tired. "So," he said, voice flat, "you're not just some cultural gesture of peace. You're a programmed spy." She didn't deny it. "I was designed," she said, "to learn from you. And if needed, to protect you." He turned. "Protect me." A soft shimmer passed over her skin, like a faint pulse of energy beneath the surface. Dax's eyes narrowed. "You're augmented." "Yes." He stepped forward. "With what?" "My blood is laced with adaptive nanites. My muscles have layered fiber tissues that can mimic a dozen known species' reflex patterns. My bones can withstand blunt force trauma better than standard combat armor. I am not normal." Dax just stared. "And they gave you to me?" She looked away. "They gave me to the one soldier the Therial feared the most. It was not a gift, Sergeant Marin. It was a leash. Or a test." That hit him like a gut punch. A leash. He started pacing, pain flaring in his ribs. "So what now? Do you kill me in my sleep?" "Report back every word I say." She stood, slowly. "No. I was ordered to serve. But now that I am yours, the command link has been severed." "Meaning?" "Meaning I choose what I do. For the first time." Dax stopped. "And what do you want to do?" She met his eyes. "I want to understand why you fought like that. Why you screamed when your friend died. Why you ran back into fire for a wounded enemy soldier. I was bred to obey, but you? You were willing to die for people who already gave up." Dax was silent. The memory of Ashfall hung over them like smoke. He finally spoke, his voice low. "Because they were mine. And I don't leave my own behind." A long silence followed. Then, for the first time, Sky moved without grace. She sat down heavily, like the weight of something broke inside her. "No one has ever said something like that to me," she whispered. Dax sat across from her, exhausted in more ways than one. "You said your kind surrendered." She nodded. "They calculated the odds. Your species, you don't fight like anyone else. You burn your ships, so there's no retreat. You sacrifice leaders without hesitation. You bomb your own positions if it means stopping the enemy. We fight dirty. No, you fight desperately. It terrifies them." Dax chuckled. "Good." But Sky didn't laugh. "They fear you. But they also envy you. And now they want to study you. From up close. Through me." He sat back. "So that's the plan. Send in the perfect alien companion. Get a front row seat to humanity's soul." She looked at him seriously. "But what if I choose not to follow that plan anymore?" He raised an eyebrow. "You'd disobey your creators?" Her voice was quiet. "I think I already have." There was a knock at the medbay door. A sharp, professional rap. Dax looked up. "Yeah." The door slid open. A woman in a dark gray coat stepped in, flanked by two silent guards. Her insignia read Special Diplomatic Oversight Division, never a good sign. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Sergeant Marin, may we speak privately?" Dax glanced at Sky. "She stays." The woman's smile faded slightly. "This is a debriefing regarding your compensation." "You mean her?" The woman nodded. "The integration of alien assets requires oversight. Psychological compatibility checks. Loyalty testing. Emotional conditioning. We'd like to begin those assessments immediately." Sky's posture went rigid. Dax stepped between them. No. Excuse me. She's not going anywhere. You want to run tests? You do it with me in the room. The diplomat gave a small, tight laugh. Sergeant, you don't understand what's at stake here. No. Dax cut her off. You don't. You're poking a loaded weapon and pretending it's a toy. The guard stepped forward, but Sky was already moving. In a blink, she was behind them, silent, predatory. No violence, just presence. The diplomat's eyes widened. She held up a hand. Stand down. Everyone. She turned to Dax again. You'll regret this. Probably, he said. But I won't let you dissect her like some lab rat. The diplomat's face twisted in frustration. She turned sharply, motioned for her team to leave. The door hissed shut behind them. Dax turned back to Sky. Her eyes were glowing faintly. Not anger, alertness. They'll come back, she said. With more. I know. Then we have little time. For what? She looked him dead in the eye. For me to tell you the real reason I was created. The room was still. The air heavy. Dax sat on the edge of his cot, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. Across from him, Sky stood like a statue, her body still, but her eyes full of motion. You said you were created for more than observation, he said finally. She nodded. Yes. What then? Infiltration? Sabotage? No. She stepped forward and slowly raised her hand to her collarbone. Her fingers pressed into a seam hidden beneath her skin. A soft glow pulsed outward, like veins made of light. And then something unlocked. Dax stood, alarmed, hand twitching toward a sidearm he no longer carried. Sky. But she wasn't attacking. She was transforming. Lines appeared across her arms and neck, faint but geometric, like circuitry beneath her skin. Her pupils narrowed to slits. The glow in her eyes wasn't just bioluminescence now. It was power. She exhaled slowly, and when she spoke again, her voice was layered. Not mechanical, but more than human. My genetic structure is human-compatible. My biology was designed not just to observe, but to integrate, to fuse with your kind. Dax's voice was quiet, disbelieving. What are you saying? I was created to be a seed. A seed for what? Sky lowered her hand. The glow faded. Her body returned to its usual grace, but the silence after felt like a bomb waiting to go off. A new species, she said. Dax sat down again, slowly. You're joking. I'm not. The Therial Council saw what humanity was becoming. Violent, adaptable, relentless. They realized they couldn't defeat you in open war. So they chose another path, assimilation, not through conquest, but through blood. Dax stared. You're a... What? A genetic weapon? A mother species? I was designed to bond with a human. Emotionally, psychologically, and, eventually, biologically. He stood up, anger starting to rise. You were supposed to mate with me? She didn't flinch. Yes. Jesus. It wasn't my choice, Dax. His first name. She hadn't said it before. You were the soldier they feared most. The one they believed would be the perfect match. You had the instincts, the strength, and, ironically, the heart. Dax laughed bitterly. So what? We shack up and create some weird human-alien hybrid kids to unite the species. No, not unite. Supplant. That hit like a slap. They believed our child would be stronger than either of us. Smarter, more enduring, capable of reshaping the future balance of power. Dax paced the room, fists clenched. And you're just okay with that? Being used like that? No, Sky said. That's why I broke my bond protocol. Why I stopped sending signals. I didn't want to be a weapon anymore. He looked at her, truly looked. There was no deception in her. No pride in what she had revealed. Only fatigue. And something else, fear. They'll come for you, he said. They already are, she whispered. A screen on the far wall suddenly flickered to life. Red text scrolled across it. Asterisk asterisk medbay override in 5 minutes. All occupants must evacuate. Asterisk asterisk. Dax cursed. That's not a drill. Sky nodded. They want me back. He moved fast, grabbing his jacket and slamming his palm against the door release. Alarms were beginning to echo outside now. Subtle, not panic-inducing. But he'd seen this kind of cover operation before. He turned to her. You can fight, right? Her expression turned sharp. Only if I must. Then let's move. They slipped into the corridor, Sky moving like liquid shadow behind him. No one questioned them yet, but he could see the signs. Security checkpoints realigning, automated turrets powering on quietly, medbay bots retreating to dock. "Where's your ship?" he asked as they ducked into a supply hall. "I don't have one." "You're joking. I was not meant to leave." "Well, change of plans." He keyed in a code on a terminal and brought up the internal schematics. A civilian diplomatic shuttle was docked on Subdeck 9. Unarmed, but fast. "Can you fly?" he asked. "Yes." "Then get ready." They moved. Fast. Dax kept his head down, avoiding patrols, his mind already spinning with what would happen next. If the Therial wanted to reshape humanity, they were insane. Humans wouldn't merge, they'd resist. They'd start a second war. Worse than the first. They reached the elevator shaft, then stopped cold. 4 armed guards were posted outside the lift. Dax glanced at Sky. "How loud can you be?" Her expression didn't change. "Do you want them dead?" "I want them down." She stepped out before he could answer. And she moved. Faster than thought. A blur of limbs, a shockwave of motion. Her hand disarmed the first soldier. Her knee shattered the second's chest plate. The others turned their rifles too late. 10 seconds. For men on the floor. Breathing, but unconscious. Dax stared. "Okay, you're scary." She offered no reply, only a small nod. They reached the shuttle. Inside, systems came online. Engines hummed. As the docking clamps released, a transmission flashed on the console. "Sergeant Marin, this is Admiral Roth. Power down your vessel. Return the alien asset. This is your final warning." Dax stared at the blinking command icon. Then he reached out, turned off the comm. The shuttle launched. Stars stretched out beyond them. Dax finally sat back, exhaling slowly. "What the hell are we going to do now?" he muttered. Sky looked at him. "I was created to change humanity," she said. "But maybe humanity is about to change me." They flew into uncharted space, dark and cold. No comms. No chatter. Just Dax and Sky, alone in the stolen shuttle, hunted by the Therial and branded traitors by humans. Dax stared at the stars. "We can't keep running." "I know," Sky said softly. She sat across from him, arms folded over her knees, back pressed to the hull. She looked less like the artificial creation she once claimed to be, and more like someone alive. Real. He turned toward her. "I've been thinking. That's dangerous." He smirked. "You were made to be the start of something new. But what if that start doesn't have to be forced?" Sky tilted her head. "You broke protocol. You made a choice," he said. "That's more human than half the people I've met. So maybe it's not about DNA. Maybe what makes someone one of us is what they choose when everything's burning." She looked at him, something flickering in her eyes, emotion she didn't know how to name. Then the ship shook violently. "Alert. Incoming vessel detected. Therial signature, asterisk asterisk. They found us." Dax muttered, rushing to the cockpit. Outside, a Therial stealth warship decloaked, sleek, organic, silent. Like a predatory whale gliding through starlight. "They're not going to ask nicely," Sky said behind him. "Nope." Dax's jaw tightened. "We fight or we die. We have no weapons." "Correction, we have you." She glanced at him, then nodded. "Then let me end this." Before he could object, she placed a hand on the console and exhaled. Energy pulsed from her fingertips, interfacing directly with the shuttle's systems. Lights flickered, panels shifted. "Wait, what are you doing?" "I was designed to merge with technology. Any system, any ship." "Sky." The shuttle began to change. Artificial intelligence fused with organic code. Panels restructured. Dull metal shimmered to black alloy. The ship bent itself around her command. Asterisk asterisk her will. Asterisk asterisk. "I'm not just a seed," she whispered. "I'm the weapon they were too afraid to unleash." She stepped forward, now glowing with energy, and lifted her hand. Outside, the Therial ship charged its main cannon, and Sky spoke a single word. "No." The enemy ship convulsed. Lights burst from its core. Its systems overloaded as Sky's signal invaded every circuit. She crushed its neural link like it was paper. In seconds, the warship exploded into a silent fireball of stardust. Dax stood frozen. "Remind me never to make you mad." Sky turned, her glow fading. "I didn't want to kill them, but they gave me no choice." He walked to her, silent for a moment. Then, "So what now?" "Humanity thinks I've gone rogue. The Therial want you dead. We're both fugitives." "Then maybe we do what both sides fear most," she said, meeting his eyes. "We build something new, something better." Dax let out a breath. "You sure you want to do this?" "No war." No orders. Just freedom. You and me. She stepped closer. I want to choose. That's all I ever wanted. Their hands touched. Not by programming. Not by duty. By choice. And somewhere, deep in uncharted space, a new signal was born. Not a distress call. Not a weapon. A beginning.